Hello, everyone, and welcome. I see you're all kind of joining in quite one by one here. Perfect. I think everyone's in. My name is Erin Ruggieri, and welcome to the Cardiology Technology Info Session. Our main presenter tonight is going to be Lisa Gowans, our program head for cardiology, but I am going to be facilitating a bunch of this with you guys. So before we get started, again, I want to thank you for joining us. You will have noticed that a little thing popped up on your screen saying this session will be recorded. So if you do miss anything as we're going along, don't worry, we're recording this and we will send you a copy of the recording about 7 to 10 days after this session, along with a PDF copy of our slide deck tonight. So you'll get both of those as resources to kind of look over later if you've missed anything. I did want to ask that everybody keep themselves on mute for the duration of the presentation, and if possible, you can also turn off your cameras for the presentation portion, just to kind of reduce interference as we're going. So to start us off, I want to, of course, do our land acknowledgement. The British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. And I know that many of you are coming from other territories tonight, so if you take a second to acknowledge that, that would be wonderful. And before I pass it over to Lisa, I was just going to do a quick poll to kind of test your guys' knowledge. Don't worry, this is not for marks. You should see a poll pop up on your screen right now. It says, what does a cardiology technologist do? Do they assist in cardiac surgery? Do they do cardiac ultrasounds, repair cardiac equipment and devices, perform cardiac tests to diagnose? That's a bit of a typo. So which of these is the best answer? Okay, I'm going to end it there. Share the results. Lisa, how did we do?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. So that is a cardiology technologist does do cardiac tests to diagnose patients. Yes, I see what the typo is. Yeah, so we participate in tests in the hospital or outside of the hospital. I like to think of us as checking the heart without going in, so non-invasive. I feel a couple of people put ultrasounds. We don't do ultrasounds. That is but there are cardiology technologists that carry on later on in their career and take echo. So it's not that it's not, well, it could be part of your journey in the end. So maybe I'll just talk a little bit about what is cardiology technology. So my name is Lisa Gowans, and I am the program head for cardiac sciences, and this is about cardiology technology. So I'll just give you a little bit of, some things to think about when you're considering cardiology technology or any of the health programs. Something that kind of came to mind today for me was thinking about what you see yourself doing. There's lots of jobs in healthcare, and they are all in really high demand right now. I think what interests me about cardiology technology was the ability to move around and go to lots of places. So you get to go to different areas of the hospital, and you have a large load of outpatients and inpatients, and there's sort of rotations within the departments of different things you can do. Those are some of the things that interested me. So our program is blended. It is mostly online. So the academic portion is online delivery. We do have some synchronous and asynchronous learning ways within the courses, but those are the online commitment, because I know sometimes people will ask that. There are, in the beginning of each term, if you have some online commitments that you have to do with your class, that will be given to you in the beginning of the term. But mostly it is online. We do have students from all over Canada. We have students from that student actually in the purple there is from Saskatchewan. So she came here for our lab. And then we do a lab here for 2 weeks at our Burnaby campus. And we have 26 weeks worth of clinical experiences at hospitals across Canada. So that's broken up into 10 weeks. So you do 11 courses, then you do the lab, then you do a 10-week clinical experience. Then you do back to classes. So you go back home, do your more learning, and then you finish your second placement is 16 weeks. So the 2-week lab is kind of one of the highlights really of our program, because you're able to be with your classmates and you're able to kind of gel with them, get to meet the instructors, and kind of do like an intense lab time to get you ready for clinical. So maybe we'll ask our graduate Jen about that. But I would say that a lot of graduates will say that was a highlight for them in the program. So the clinical practicum is definitely one of the, is an exciting aspect of our program, because you're able to utilize all the skills that you're taught online, all the academic pieces, and you're able to get some hands-on experience. So within the hospital, you get to concentrate, and because everything is so busy right now, you get lots and lots of practice. We try to get students to go to 2 different hospitals or 2 different health regions within their time in our program, to give them a varied experience of what they can experience. Different hospitals specialize in different things. And one of the other highlights that we have in our program is that the exposure to advanced areas. So when you're in your second clinical, we are committed to letting students participate or observe in other areas. So you'll go for like an observation in echo, or there's the opportunity to go to the cath lab, cardiac rehab, other areas, just to expose you to what patients experience, and to give you some perspective on interprofessional collaboration. So career outlook is very good at the moment. So careers starting here in BC is around $34 an hour. You can get jobs in hospitals, in medical labs like Life Labs. There's medical device companies, and there's cardiology clinics. The opportunity to ladder past this. So there are a fair amount of people that will still start as being a cardiology technologist. Some people will remain and do that for the rest of their career. Then there's other people that will do it for some time, and then they'll move on to other things. So some of those things can include, we have a laddering credential to TRU, which is Thompson River University in Kamloops, and they will give you credits towards their health science degree. You can use our program for that. And then some other avenues that some graduates will do is they are interested in electrophysiology, cardiac rhythm, so that's device program, and the cardiovascular program, which would be working in the cath lab. So those are opportunities you could do after you've been working as a cardiology tech. And some of the courses are crossover. Oh, now it's to Jennifer. So I'm really happy to be able to introduce Jennifer. Jennifer graduated this past year, and I'm really grateful that she's given us the time to come and talk about her experience with our program. And you want me to start you off? I'll ask lab, right? Yeah. So how did you find the lab?
I found that so you will do 2 weeks of lab, and I found this to be a really good time to actually meet all your classmates. This is like the best time to start making like a WhatsApp group or something, and then you really like start to make friends. Because what I noticed is when I was working as a cardio tech, everybody knows everybody. So, you think, okay, like maybe when I graduate, I won't see these people anymore. But a lot of the times, when you work in so many different hospitals, you will actually see each other again. And it's really, really nice to make friends right from the get-go and just sort of be on this journey together. I find it really helpful.
Yeah, that's great. And the online part, so that attracts a lot of people, the flexibility of our program. Did you find the flexibility worked for you? And maybe you could speak to how you found the courses, if you found that you were supported, kind of being independent, and maybe some like recipes for success. Like I know students will say you have to be pretty good with time management. You have to be organized. I don't know. What was your experience?
So I did do the program full time. I found that you definitely do need discipline. And if you are juggling a part-time job, it can get difficult. So I found that maybe I was doing a shift every week for on the weekends, and then I had to sort of make sure I dedicated time Monday through Friday. I think in terms of the courses itself, it's very narrowed, so which I really like. So you get like the pathophysio, you get the pharmacology, you get pacemakers. So all these areas that I found to be really actually interesting and different from each other, but all still centered around cardiology tech. And it's not nothing that what I find that I really like about BCIT is that none of the courses are sort of superfluous, like, oh, I have to do it just to get it out of the way, which I found to be kind of an issue when I was at like a previous school. I
Hmm.
find that with BCIT, it actually is very focused. So what you are learning in class, you will be using. So I find that to be really, really awesome as well.
That's great. Yeah. Try to keep everything applicable. And that's what students want now. What do I need to know to do the job? And so you did 2 clinical placements at 2 different hospitals. You have any highlights from the clinical portion?
I I love the clinicals. I think honest these are the best parts of the program. You actually being at the hospitals and doing the job. And you end up meeting so many people and everybody is so helpful and so nice. Sometimes it gets hard because you get trained by so many different people, but at the same time, you learn something different from everybody. So when you're at the hospital, you're learning so many different tips and tricks from so many professionals. You get to meet the cardiologist, you get to meet like the nurses too, and the other areas like the people who do the blood work. You might bump into them. You just get a very real sense of like, oh, you're actually doing something now with all this information that's in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're becoming part of the team, Jen.
Yes, exactly.
So becoming a part of the healthcare team. Okay. I don't know. You have any other questions, Erin, that you can think of? I think.
No, do you have just a favorite part of the program? What was your favorite thing? I mean, you've already said you love 2 things.
I did
What was
love the
there?
clinicals, yeah, for sure. But also, like as Lisa had mentioned before, during your second clino, you got to do interprofessional um parts of it. So you get to go and observe certain things. And I find that to be, I really encourage students to take advantage of these observations because I got to see like the cath lab. I got to see actual like operations, heart surgery. And I just find that to be just like an added layer of, oh, like I'm not just reading about these surgeries. I'm actually gonna see it. I actually saw a heart get lifted up out of somebody's body in front of me, right? Like I was able to see right into it because they let me. And I just find these like little things to be so cool.
Yeah, and it really lends to that you understand what a patient has experienced. It gives you a little bit of a perspective of all the other tests that patients have come, because in healthcare you are a little focused on the test that you're doing. So it gives opportunity for students and graduates to know what patients go through. And it's true. I mean, you only get these opportunities often as a student, and then once you're working, it's not as easy to get to go see these other things. Yeah. Okay, what was your favorite course?
Favorite course? I do have a biology background, so I did like the pathophysio, but of course the actual ECG courses would be the best.
Yeah. Great. Okay, well, Jen is going to stick around. So if people have questions or you want to type questions into the chat for her, she's a great resource. It's great to have a recent grad. So thanks, Jen.
Of course.
Okay, so we're moved on to admissions. That's great. Okay, so I think the next slide has the window. of time. Yeah, so we do 2 intakes a year. We start students in fall and we start students in winter, which is in January. For the fall intake, it's usually from January 2nd to the middle of May. And for the January intake, it's usually July 15th to October 15th. But we have opened a second window this term that is from October 16th and it'll be closing on November 24th to encourage some more applicants that we might we could get. I just wanted to talk about, the program. So Jen talked about taking our program full time. If you do take our program full time, we're under the flexible learning model, which means that you can kind of do what works for you. So you have up to 5 years to finish the program, but you can do it full time, which will take about 2 years or a little over 2 years, depending if you start in winter or fall, or you can take up to 5 years. So I would say right now we have a pretty balanced group of people that are doing full time and some that are doing part time. So I might get people who are already working or doing a career change, or people that are on maternity leave, or that works better for them to do it on a part-time model. And then I have students that go in with the intention of getting it over with. Well, I don't getting it over with, but doing an efficient way of doing it and getting it done in 2 years.
Okay, I thought you were frozen for a second there, Lisa, but good. No. So once you decide that you want to apply for the program, there's a couple of steps to go through to kind of get into that. So first you would go onto our website, just type in BCIT Cardiology and you'll get there, and review the entrance requirements and the application dates. So Lisa just showed us the dates, but also review the entrance requirements. And then complete, depending on what's listed on the website there, CASPER, mandatory questionnaire, letter of reference, any additional forms that are listed. So do check the website and refer to exactly which of those are required. You will convert all of your documents, anything you need to submit, to PDF files, and you will apply online. Nothing is done by mail or in person anymore, so please make sure that everything is PDF'd and submitted online. So those required entrance requirements that we just talked about. So I'll go through them here. Proficiency in speaking and listening. So you need to have 2 years of full-time education in English-speaking countries. So whether that's your grade 11 and 12, or 2 years of post-secondary in an English-speaking country taught in English, or there are some English equivalents that you can ask us about. You need to have at least a 73% in English 12. At least a 67 in pre-calc 12, at least a 67 in anatomy and physiology 12, and physics 11, chemistry 11, same. And again, the CASPER test and the mandatory applicant questionnaire. Now, I know some of you will have heard of CASPER before, and a lot of you will not have heard of CASPER. So CASPER is an online situational assessment test. If you go to, I believe it's takealtus.com is the CASPER website. They have a bunch of practice tests there, examples of what the test is like, all kinds of frequently asked questions about CASPER, but it's not something you can study for, maybe just something you can practice taking, because CASPER will present you with different situations and you simply need to respond to how you would respond in those situations. And then that's just one of the things we look at in deciding who is accepted to the program. So it's not the be-all end-all, but it is one of the things we look at. We also will give preference to any applicants who have related volunteer or work experience, a demonstrated interest in the field, any post-secondary education, and consistently good grades in previous education. Lisa, perhaps you could just unmute and tell us what related volunteer and work experience would look like. What's related considered?
Sure. So volunteer, there kind of was a pocket there, especially with COVID. It was pretty hard to get into any kind of healthcare areas to do volunteer. So we do look at volunteer work in the healthcare. I would say that there are people that work in like an extended care, or I think they're called navigators, hospital navigators. But also we're looking at community volunteer. So if you do volunteer or you work within your community, we look at that too. And, you know, that, and especially even for work experience, we look at, you know, do you have customer service experience? Because are you able to work with people? Because in the end, in working in healthcare, you are having to connect and work with people. And are you able to do that?
Yes, wonderful. Thank you. And then the admissions process. So once you submit your application online, admissions assesses all applications within 2 to 4 weeks of receiving them. Any applications that are considered complete, as in when you have met all the requirements, will be sent directly to the Cardiology Technology Department. And the department will then shortlist and select applicants after the application deadline date. And then you will receive an acceptance letter. So one thing I want to go over to is that we have numerous ways of supporting you while you're a student at BCIT. Sorry, my son is asking me a million questions. What is it? Probably 7015. This is the joy of working from home while having children with you. Anyways, glimpse into my personal life. So supporting your success. We have a number of ways of supporting your success while you're a student at BCIT. The first of those listed here on the screen is our Indigenous Initiatives Department. And our Indigenous Initiatives, for anyone who identifies as Indigenous, we have a wonderful welcoming gathering place on campus. We have a number of elders that are connected to BCIT and Indigenous workers on campus. And if you don't identify as Indigenous, but maybe have some questions or some curiosity about Indigenous issues, they welcome that as well. They always have people willing to chat with you about those things. Student Financial Aid and Awards, like most post-secondaries, we have a great Student Financial Aid and Awards department. And we also have some entrance scholarships that are available to apply for. So please do check those out. Accessibility services. So for anybody who has either an ongoing or maybe just a temporary disability that requires some accommodation in class, similar to somebody who might have had an IEP during high school, you can connect with accessibility services and they will work on your behalf with your program to kind of support you through your program and your studies and help you navigate those issues. Student Health Services is one of my favorites. Student Health Services is a full-service medical clinic right on campus in our SE16 building. So if you don't have a GP, like many people don't now, or if you're just unable to get an appointment with your GP because of your busy school schedule, you can book in for a visit with Student Health Services. Now, it's not a walk-in clinic, but if you make an appointment, you can generally get in within a day or two of making the appointment. And they have doctors and nurses, just like standard medical clinic, and can cover pretty much everything for you. And just down the hall from them is the Counseling and Student Development Department. So again, counselors on staff to talk to students. And it doesn't have to be about a school-related thing or a BCIT-related thing. It can be about your stress and anxieties. It can be about depression. It can be about relationship issues. It can be about anything that's going on in your personal life at the moment. And then finally on the screen, recreation services. We do have a full service gym on campus. There's great weight room. We offer intramurals, lots of club activities there. We also have a number of fitness classes that are available to students. And we just encourage you to kind of stop by rec services in the morning before you start your classes or at the end of the day to kind of just get that release of physical activity that a lot of us need when we've been focusing our brains so hard all day. So do know that, again, we are definitely here to support you and we want to see our students succeed. So take advantage of the many programs that are available to students. I should have mentioned this earlier, but our program advisor, Maninder, is on the chat with us today, and I know she's been answering a few of your questions. Program advising is who you go to if you have a question about your application or a question about your transcripts or a question about the programs. So you can contact them by telephone, Zoom, in-person, email. Their website is listed there with an awkward hanging G that fell off the word there, but yes, that's available to you. Please do contact them, get in touch with them, discuss things as you're formatting your application there. And please do connect with us. BCIT Health Sciences would love to see you connect with us on social media. We are on all of the channels listed on your screen, and we regularly post. We post a lot about what students are up to in class, in clinical, in lab, in on campus, off campus. So we really love to showcase kind of the cool things our students and our staff are doing. We also include a lot about different announcements, different upcoming events, different initiatives, things we're doing, cool programs. So please do give us a follow on one of our accounts. And I will note that our TikTok is rather new, so there's not a lot of posts on there yet, but please help us grow it. So come follow us. If you are looking at learning more at BCIT as a whole, we do have campus visits and tours. We have more info sessions like this one tonight. I would encourage you to register for others if you're interested. And we have info sessions running tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday as well. So lots of ways to get in touch with us. And now I will pass it over to the questions and answers portion. So I see a lot of questions popping up.
I answered some of them, but I'm just going to answer this last one about the question about what does it look like to do online learning. And
yes,
Jen can maybe speak to this too. But each course is a little bit different. They are it is module to module, so you do have a schedule, you do have scheduled assignments, you have discussions, you have quizzes, you have tests. So there is a schedule. It's not like we just give you all of the content and then that's it. Just to know that most classes don't have live sessions more than 3 times in a term, which is 12 weeks long. So there is some like classroom time. I'll speak for myself. I teach a few of the courses. I do make an effort to try to pull the students and try to come up with best days and times for everybody, just because I realize that everybody does have other aspects of their life. So but anyway, maybe you go ahead, Jen.
Is this just to clarify about the courses, or?
Yeah, I think the question was about the question. So speak to the online delivery looks like. Is it only text or Zoom? So I think only text means like only content, but we have a little bit of a combination, but it mostly is you do it independently on your own.
Yes, it is very independent. You just have to make sure, again, with the discipline that you are just following the schedule as is for that particular course. So they will want you, like week 1, they want you to do module 1. Week 2, they want you to do module 2, that sort of thing. And then, of course, exam dates will be very particular as well. You just have to keep track. Oh, I do see some questions.
Yeah, there's some questions from Alina for Jennifer specifically. Jennifer, what's your backstory before you joined this program? You mentioned something about bio.
So I did have a bachelor's of science in biology before this, before I decided that I part of why I went to BCIT after that is I did want to do something a lot more hands-on, a lot more practical. And that I do find that to be the advantage of BCIT is that they actually will give you more practical career goals, career paths. So that's why I went to BCIT after that. I just recently did the credential exam, I think October 3rd. So just at the beginning of this month, actually. It's not bad, honestly. I do think BCIT absolutely prepares you for this exam. If you are good with this program, you will be good for the exam. I would not even stress it. I think you would maybe need a month before the actual credential exam date to do a little bit of review, a little bit of studying, and then I think you'll be good. Study schedule. The study schedule. Okay, so I would say that if you treat this program like as if you were going to school in person, it's very useful. If you sort of just do your courses Monday through Friday is what I did, and then on the weekends I did do a part-time job. Let's see.
Lisa just posted that there was 100% pass rate in the credentialing exam in 2023. So that is
I don't know if you
so
know
yeah.
that about your class, Jen, because I just got the email last night, but yes, all of the students in Jen's cohort passed. So
Wow.
exciting, yes. So I there was a question I was gonna speak to about the clinical people being nervous. Yeah, I mean everyone's nervous. I don't think it matters what you do. You know, you start a new job, you go to a new school, anything's gonna make you a little bit nervous. But I would say that the hospitals are very keen on having students right now. I mean, I'm getting emails like they want students. So how many can you send me? So the culture is right now that they are really welcoming students because they need employees in the end. When I just got an email today from somebody in Ontario, in northern Ontario, and they're now offering a $10,000 recruitment if someone's willing to move there. They're going to give them $10,000 with a return to service that you'll stay there for 3 years. So definitely it's an exciting time right now. And the only other thing I was going to mention is that, sometimes students are, you're feeling like you're not sure about the online forum. We do allow potential students before joining the program to take 1, 2, or 3 courses to try it out to see if it works for you. That is possible for some of our first courses. And so I will have potential students that try it out that way. So that is an option before you kind of jump all the way in. You could take courses.
I would also add for the nerve-wracking part of the clinical is that yes, it is very nerve-wracking because it's all so new. But because they know that you are a student, you will never be left alone. You will always have your preceptor with you. If you don't know what to do, you just step back. It's no problem at all. You're there to learn. So I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Vivian is also asking, what is the assignment load like for the program? Like how many hours per day do you think you spent? I mean, I know it varies throughout term.
It does vary within the term. I think it varies, right, Jen? Like I think sometimes there'll be pockets where it's very heavy and then it's lower.
Right, exactly. And then of course, if you're stronger with some subjects, then it'll be, won't take as long. But then some other subjects, like let's say you're not so good with pharmacology, then that could take a lot more time. So it's really hard for me to gauge, to be honest. But I did just spend like Monday through Friday, treated it like I was going to school as I would normally. Yeah.
And Jen was a very strong student, I will say that. So, but I mean, our philosophy is if you take a 3-credit course, you're doing at least 3 hours of study a week. And that is outside of extra studying or assignments that you have to do. So if that helps gauge. And I do think that, I don't know how you feel about this, Jen, but I do feel like we have a balance of some courses that are more challenging and then some courses that are a little bit softer to land on. And we kind of have a combination of those in terms so that it's not all super intense. I don't know if you found that, Jen.
Yeah, I did find that to be the case.
We commonly get from students who, and Jennifer, you may have some insights as well. In recency, we don't have a mandatory recency anymore, but quite often students who have bachelor's degrees completed, but they were done maybe 7 years ago or longer, are asking if they should refresh. What would be your advice?
I did apply for the program, I say like 5 years after I had already left high school. And I still applied with those high school marks. I don't know if it's any longer than that, they'll still take it. But I did apply with those high school grades and it still went through. So I'm not sure how that's gauged, but yeah.
Yeah, I would say, Meninder, that it's a great question. I just feel like it's everyone's individual. Like there's some people, if you had a job where you we do get a fair amount of students say, that are like a pharmacy assistant, or they, people are changing. So if you, depending on what your life experience has been, and then there's just some people who just retain a lot of information and it's still up there. So I think maybe people have to make a judgment for themselves. Or, consider doing that, taking one course and seeing how it goes. And one of the courses can be the basic health science, the first one, which is kind of similar to biology. So.
Great, thank you. That's sort of along the lines of what we say as well. So it's great to hear. Thank you.
That's good. And yeah, it's hard to keep up. There's lots of things on the chats here. So so about changing careers, I would say we get lots of people that change careers. So whether that is someone's in a career and they decide to come shift into ours, or they start in cardiology technology and then they I have had some students go to nursing. I've also had students try to get into perfusion, or going to the advanced programs, or go into echo. So it's a great starting point. And then I have even people that try to go into health leadership. So they kind of have their eye on, working in administration, but they're starting somewhere. Do you have any ideas, Jen? Do you think you're gonna do something else, or you're just enjoying what you're doing now?
I'm enjoying what I'm doing now for the meantime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa, how many seats are in the program each term or each entry?
So traditionally we've been taking about 18 students a term, but because the demand is so high, we're really open to taking more students than that. So I think we took 22 for fall. Would like to keep to that number, or even grow it more. It has to do with the clinical spot. So right now people are very keen on taking the students, which is great. But if that shifts, then we have to be responsible, and we can't be taking students into the program if we won't have a hospital to send you to.
That makes sense. And is the licensing exam a national exam, or is it provincial?
National. It is a national exam.
So once you pass that, you can work anywhere in Canada. You
can, and even some people leave and work in different places. There's
well, we don't want them doing that. We'd like them to stay.
So we'd like to keep you in Canada right now. That's true. But so we have students, I have students who are from New Brunswick or in Saskatchewan, different areas of Canada. We have clinical sites all over Canada. So there are students, I'm going to Regina next month because we have students that are being hosted by Regina General. And there's also the opportunity, I've had, I think, 3 or 4 students this past year who have taken the opportunity to go to another province for one of their clinical places, is kind of to try it out. I think there's sort of, we all know that living in Vancouver, if I don't know if there's probably people from other places here, but is very expensive. And so I think people are kind of putting the feelers out. It's a nice way to just go somewhere else for 10 weeks, give it a try. And then you can consider what you might want to do. Vancouver Island is also, especially in Victoria, is very short, and are really looking to try to recruit people.
Great. I know we still have questions on there, but I just wanted to bring this page up as well. BCIT Cardiology Technology has their own Instagram page now, so that's another place you can follow. And if there were any questions that we haven't been able to answer tonight, I know there might have been a few that we didn't answer fully, or we might have skipped over some in the chat as they were coming in and we didn't catch everything. You can follow up with Maninder and her colleagues at Program Advising, as I mentioned earlier. Their email address is just program_advising@bcit.ca. Now, that might not be the quickest way to contact them right now. I don't know what your response time is like, Maninder, but I'm guessing it's a busy time of year for you. So do check out BCIT Program Advising on the website and see about the different ways of contacting them. But any questions you have that we didn't get to, you can certainly pass them over there.
Sorry, Erin, if I could just mention, There's been a couple of questions about upgrading and meeting prerequisites.
Yes.
Or requirements. BCIT does offer a number of the subjects required for this program, so upgrading can be done through us. But we also accept courses from many other institutions, whether it's your local college, university, adult learning center, or online school. So there's lots of options. The link I provided does give you a variety of options. And what I wanted to also really mention is that for this program, and most of our programs that have high school requirements, you can apply with midterm grades. So if you don't actually have a final grade by the deadline date, but you do have a midterm grade, that will allow your application to be reviewed. If midterm grades are not acceptable, it would be listed. But if it's not listed, that means you can submit a midterm grade for your application to be processed. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Melinda.
That's great. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and I think we're going to close it off there. So again, I'm sorry if we didn't get to your questions, but please do keep in touch with us. Can't recall if there's another slide here. Oh, there's our lovely, which class was this, Christy, this photo?
Oh, that photo
Lisa,
is
of course.
actually the staff. Yeah, the staff at Royal Columbian. And we did a little for Cardiology Technologist Day, which is on Valentine's Day. We had a lot of the departments come and do these pictures with the heart. So yeah, it was just a way to celebrate our Cardio Tech Day.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you.